All right, well, hello everybody and welcome back up into the Bear's Den for what is going to be my official beginning to the 2020 pepper garden season, in particular the outdoor season. Some of you may recall that on this little AeroGarden here, I've already started my indoor season because I am doing a completely in the AeroGarden Pepper project here, and we'll check on that in a minute. But mostly today is about starting seeds for the outdoor season, because last year the things that I got started in February seemed to work out really well for me, and staggering them with the outside sun like we did, we'll get into that in later months, but staggering them, taking them out like we did, seemed to result in a really good survival rating. And so this year I'd like to really increase the number of peppers that I have growing. So I've decided, since JR sent me those seeds, that 2 out of the 3 seeds that I'm going to get started on today are from that. The first is going to be these Trinidad Bean pepper seeds that he sent me. I'm sure you can't see the writing on that because I'm way too far from the camera. And the second is going to be the chocolate Carolina Reaper. And for the third, we're going to finally spin that roulette wheel with all of those super hots that I've got there and just see what turns up. So that is going to be interesting. I've decided to grab a bit of a brain, and I've got the various, well, 7 lines of the black seed starting tray kind of drawn up underneath the JT Bear logo here, and I'm just going to label with what I've put in each of those, because last year when I put it on a piece of paper, the piece of paper of course got soaked and then eventually got lost, and it just became kind of a pain in the butt to remember what was what. Luckily, I didn't have a whole lot of variety growing, and I'm going to keep true to that right now as well. I'm just doing, like I say, 3 varieties today, and then the next batch is going to be 2 more varieties, but that's not going to be for another probably 8 weeks. And then after that, probably 3 more varieties, because I want to do things that I know will grow well here and will produce for us, because I'm tired of looking at empty baskets at the end of the season. So yes, let's get started planting these out, and then we'll take a look at the peppers that I planted last year that are still growing under these shop lights, because they are part of my outdoor 2020 season. I hope that giving them that good year-long start will be enough, and of course I hope that I can continue to keep them alive until June, when I finally get to put plants outside. So 6 months and I'm already feeling crunch time. Welcome to gardening in Manitoba. All right, let's get started with these 2 little seeds, and then we'll find out what our third is. So getting started here, I probably should have pre-soaked my seeds, but y'all know me, I didn't. And if that results in a complete and total failure, JR, I do apologize, but hopefully that won't be an issue, because I have started peppers by just dropping in dry seeds in here previously, and it all worked out. Plus, thankfully, pepper seeds are a little easier to target than some of those herb seeds that I threw in there. Now, the schedule that this garden was on says it needs nutrients in 2 days, so I'm just going to wait and do that then. I really doubt it's used up. We seem to have a bit of an issue with this one here. Open wide. I seem to have lost my train of thought. I doubt I used up all the nutrients that were in here before with the parsley and stuff. So I'm guessing that some of that's probably been absorbed into these little peat pods, sponges, whichever you want to call them. And I'm hoping that will result in a nice little boost. Although it's my understanding that seeds in general have built into them the nutrients required to get a good start in life. And then after that, it's basically up to them to produce the root exudates that will feed the biology, that will feed them in turn. But in these, like AeroGardens, for example, that's really just not an option, is it? All right, open that up a little bit more. So we've got to make sure that it gets its artificial nutrients along the way. So yeah, just to keep it in its normal cycle, 2 days when it says it needs it, that's when I'm going to hook it up. So we have 1 chocolate Carolina Reaper seed in each of those pods. And I still have a whole bunch of these left, so thank you very much, JR. Hopefully these will sprout for me, but if not, I can try again. Whoop! Dropped the package. It was open, but thankfully it dropped seeds down, so I still got them. Gotta like that. So on this side, we're gonna put the Trinidad Bean, and then for this block in the middle, that's where we're gonna put our random roulette wheel pepper. So I'm a little curious to see what that's gonna be. There's some freaky pepper seeds in there. But that's why I ordered them. I'm afraid to eat these things, but I sure do like to grow them. Okay, so these Trinidad beans are supposed to be a pretty productive little pepper, which would be nice because, as I said, I would really like to see some productivity out of the garden this year. I mean, I know those lemon habs that I'm going to plant in the next batch are nice and productive at this location, so that's a good start. Oops, you missed with that. Come on. Oh no, come on. Up for that. Oh, well, that one's gone. Guess we'll put another one in there. And the other variety I'm going to plant at the same time as those is the cherry bombs that did very well, just one block up and one block over. Now granted, that garden gets a lot more sunshine throughout the course of the day, because I've still got those darn spruces that I'm dealing with. But we might get some of those taken down this winter too. There's a gentleman at work who's mentioned an interest in playing with the chainsaw he got for his birthday and helping me get rid of those. So, you know, it's a twofer, isn't it? With any luck, I'll be able to give him some eggs too, because we've got a lot more eggs these days than we eat. All right, so Trinidad Bean, one in each of those. It would be nice if they all sprout up, because one thing I really enjoyed from last year's pepper garden was the block effect that was going on. So we've got 10 there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I always thought this had 33 places in it, 31. So yeah, funky math over the years. Actually, I guess I've only had this just about a year. And out of that year, this thing says it's been growing for me for 211 days, so I think I got my money's out of it so far. Anyway, so we're gonna fill these remaining 11. I am gonna use these 3 in the middle. I've cut them down a little bit, so it's no big deal. I guess we need to move the camera over to the roulette wheel and find out who our lucky winner is. All right, so little known bare fact, my desk is one of the only places in the world more chaotic than the chicken's chaos garden. But here we go, little wooden bead going round and round in the wheel of pain. And red 32, or the cup it stopped in front of. I'm just gonna go with the cup it stopped in front of because I don't want to be searching around. Black 8, 26, and 15, but more importantly, the pepper variety is MA Faces. So that's gonna be interesting. There should be at least 11 seeds in here, so we're gonna take this back over to the AeroGarden and plant out our little middle block. Find out how these do. So back at the AeroGarden here again. Not terribly exciting, I'm sure, but I like to keep an official record of when I get things started, just so I know. And I kind of get the impression some of you all are kind of interested in watching my adventure as we grow along, so I share it with y'all. MA Faces. That's the Matthew Arthur stuff, I'm thinking, for some reason. For a guy who grows all these peppers, I don't know I almost want to call it lore, but background, history of these varieties. Cultivars, strains, types. About a million different ways to call a duck in this world these days. As long as you don't actually call a duck, because then they'll get offended because you assumed their species. But otherwise, here we go, getting the hole. Now I am not going to put any kind of cover on this. Just going to let them rough it out, which is probably not brilliant, but when I did all the lemon habs and stuff last year, that looks like it's a wide open pod. That is a pretty wide open pod. I am going to put that back in there. Not quite sure how well that one's going to do. A little nervous about that one. But if it doesn't sprout, then that's 10, 10, and 10. So again, back to the growing things in nice, neat little blocks. Kind of the goal this year. So yeah. I'll get my little watering can and put some over the top of that, even though the reservoir has just been filled today. I just want to give a little splash on there, call it done. Now let's take a look at the AeroGarden peppers, actual AeroGarden peppers. So looking at these are the ones that came from their actual 9-pod kit. We had the one jalapeno in the back that sort of sprouted but never threw its seed casing. That is still the case, it never really did anything. These 2 purple super hots in the middle that were supposed to take a little bit longer haven't done squat yet, so they're definitely taking longer. Here we've got the mini jalapeno, looking pretty nice actually. And already down at the bottom, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but a little bit of branching going on with some of those lower leaves. So that is kind of exciting. Then over on the far side here, these, I'll turn them again so I can actually read the label. Oh wow. Look at the roots there. These are the red fire pepper, which seem to me, I believe they're a variation of the Thai pepper, bird's eye chili, some people call it. And I'm going to have to make that painful choice soon as to not only which of the peppers am I cutting out of the pods, but which pod am I going to leave here, because excuse me, unlike all these others, these red fire peppers, I got, you know, they both sprouted, 2 out of the 2 I put in, so that's not bad. I'm going to assume that the 3rd one would have if it had been in here, and they both gave me 2 pepper plants to choose from. So before they get too much bigger, I'm going to have to make that choice. But these also have started with the lower leaves branching out already. So I think these ones are going to be a really good choice for trying to grow in the AeroGarden, because it only goes up like 12 or 16 inches for this light. And when I was growing that monster bad brains in the garden, it just didn't have enough room. So this wants me to add the plant food, which is easy enough to do. Right now I'm just using the actual AeroGarden food that came with it. I see no reason to get all fancy pants. As long as I've still got proper nutrients, I will use said proper nutrients. Open that up beforehand so I don't dump it everywhere else. Gentle pour to fill the cap. 1, 2, and away we grow. So hopefully when we look at those next, they will have exploded in growth and they'll just be fantastically huge and everything. But now I have to press the flashing red button because I have fed it like it told me to. So much easier for me to garden when the plants tell me what they want. Okay, so that takes care of our 2 AeroGardens. Now let's look at last year's plants for this year's garden. So that gives us the bad brains first, this big, bold, beautiful bad brains of which I just spoke in the AeroGarden. This thing is still growing under the Sansi 70-watt light. I'm not sure it's in the shot here, but it's kind of off to the side right now because we've been having to rearrange the room a little bit, and I just haven't put a new hole in the ceiling to move the light to probably about there. So I'm going to have to come up with something a little bit better, maybe even find a tent for this plant, but at the same time it's going out in, at this point, relatively few months. So if I can just keep it alive, then I'll be good to go. I would really, really like to see what this can do for me after, well, when it goes out, I guess it'll be like 16 months old. So hopefully it's got a good start to it. Let's take a look under the shop lights at a few things that are still alive there. And then I guess that's a wrap. So hopefully this won't be too jerky. I'm going to try and smoothly slide the tripod, the camera on the tripod across the scene, and we'll see how that works. Right now we're looking at a bunch of dead peppers in the solo cup, but the one in front of them there is last year's orange habanero. It was planted a little bit late. We got 2 of the orange habs out with that, but none of them really produced for me. So hopefully with a good head start, even as tiny as that plant is, it's got a good head start. It'll be over a year old. But hopefully with that head start, it'll do something productive for us. Sliding over a little bit, you can still see that one red pepper kind of dried up on the bootless scorpion there. It's spreading out. I'm thinking very much about trimming it back a little bit and making the plant itself a little more compact, and hopefully that will help it carry on into the outdoor season. Then down here we've got the bad brains, where again its pepper has been untested because of cowardice, and it is basically drying on the plant. And that plant isn't terribly huge, but not looking anywhere near as the bad brains that we started this segment with. So I don't know if that's going to make it or not. Then beside that, and kind of behind there in the cloth planter, that is the Bootla clamshell. Now I'm really looking forward to transplanting that into the garden because it's in that fabric planter. So as I understand it, those roots shouldn't be all like wrapped around and root bound in the bottom of it, and therefore should be most willing to go out and explore the new soil. But unfortunately it's such a well-established plant, I just don't know how well it's going to do developing those new relationships with what little soil biology I have out there, because theoretically that should start from seed. And again, we've got like a year-old plant here. In front of that, oh, I'm trying to do this from memory, but I don't know which one that is. Oh, that's the Trinidad Scorpion Butch Tea Red. That one we did try. That's I think that's the pepper we tried with Fuzzy and his fiance, and that was a good hot pepper. We've got basic Y formation there. I have done a little bit of pruning on this plant over the course of the year that it's been here. And again, it's nowhere near as fully developed as maybe that first Bad Brains pepper was, but I do think it's going to survive. I kind of suspect the ones in these green, move this out of the way, in these green planters here are going to be a little bit root bound because they are very old, very well established plants. And you know, we've seen kind of what happens to root bound plants in my garden anyway. They seem to get bare at the base, and we've got a lot of dying twigs going on, but ultimately they are still struggling and staying alive. So if I can keep those at a point of still being alive for another 5.5 months, then we are golden. I'm really hoping to get a good harvest out of those, because I'm not really doing a freaky wide number of varieties like I normally do. Just a couple here and a couple there, you know? All right, and I guess that is where we're going to wrap it up today, with the bottom of the mattress here and a candle or a couple of lights in the shot and a bit of Bad Brains pepper. But officially, we have now started my outdoor 2020 pepper growing season. And yeah, I am super excited about it. Hopefully the AeroGarden Classic, the Harvest Classic that I've got up there, will help me get the same kind of results I got last year, because it really seemed like the things that I started there had the most success out of well, any peppers that I've started for my season on my own. First year we were here, I had like 154 pepper starts. By the time they went outside, I think I had like 20 or something. It was ridiculous. So hopefully this year I can get some good numbers of good productive peppers that survive all the way to going out in the yard, because as it stands, shh, this is still an aphid-free environment. So, shh. Yeah. Anyway, wish me luck. We'll be back next Sunday, probably taking a look at the AeroGarden and maybe discussing some of the companion species that I want to put together, and perhaps also looking for your feedback on companion gardening channels. I have mentioned before that I don't have anywhere near the time I used to go through all this stuff because I'm working at the barn, right? But I know that a lot of you watch a really wide selection of channels, and they're different channels from each other. So if you could just do me a favor and maybe revisit some of your favorite companion gardening videos or channels, and share those links with me either in this video or in next Sunday's video, so that I can get a jump on that and maybe see some success with my sister's gardening as well, that would be absolutely fantastic. All right, everybody, much love. That wraps it up for the JT Bear channel this week, but We're starting again on the Bear Family Farms on Thursday, so if y'all are interested in learning about different ways to get things done out in the fields and pastures, this year we're taking more of a conversational approach, more topical rather than discussing individuals. So I hope to see a lot of you out there, because I know a lot of you have bigger dreams just like I do. So much love, take care of yourself, take care of your plants, take care of what the universe puts in front of you, and yeah, universe willing, we'll all be back again here next week. Take care, everybody.